Okay, so trade review today. We had a little bit of a slower day. I mean, it was, you know, half day, so it's to be expected. So trades I took longs right off Sunday open. I entered literally at like the second minute candle, just based off order flow. We were just pushing heavily. It was a little bit of a higher risk trade. I was okay with it, just based off the momentum and the aggression. So I longed that, and then the other trade I took was back here. I longed this back here, based off a CVD divergence, and I just took 10 points off of it. So got that on a couple accounts. Got the longs right off open on a few accounts, and then I pretty much called it. I didn't trade New York session. I did call out longs on GC here, but yeah, didn't really trade New York session. Let me pull up my commentary. Okay, so this was all I posted. Posted my outlook. I was leaning bullish on metals. Could see a bullish leg to start to print on gold and silver here. CVD is still very low to the sell side, and we aren't breaking lows. Inefficient sellers. Targets if you do long, upper band, 4682. Second band, 4693. And cycle level 4500 if you do break out. That was very optimistic if we were to break those highs. So we got up to that first band, 4682. That target hit, so that was clean. I just took this up to 4677. So I just took my 10 points off of that. And then Uranus, I don't think he alerted anything. Nope. Gapped out is so silly. So it's a tariff talk. Tariff talk playbook. Right? So there's that. And then trade review. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay. NQIB, 3 points of drawdown. Okay, so overnight IB. Back right up to that VWAP band. Good entry on this Jack. If we are looking at this over here, yeah, great entry on this. Good entry. We broke that IB low to the downside, got that clean retracement back up to VWAP. Clean entry. Sellers stepped back up and sold us lower. And then we just kept rejecting VWAP. So not the cleanest trend. This is pretty ugly PA. Honestly, very ugly PA. But this VWAP does start to hold. Back here, come back up here again, hold. Come back up here again, hold. So, yeah. Yo, give us a trade review right now. I am, bro. I'm literally going through your guys' trades. With the negative 0.2 perfectly. Okay, yeah, perfect trade, Jack. I would adjust this, your stop in, once you see this leg where you break below that consolidation low, you get another candle close below it, and then it looks like it's continuing lower. So just adjust your stop in. Recognize range conditions, value area low, and lower VWAP band, targeted VWAP. Clean. This is a clean 5-point scalp. Okay, so, be able to recognize those conditions. This is a good trade, George. NQ long, one trade, one win. Missed an opportunity on GC in New York due to COMEX issues. Use 30-minute retracement for entry and 45-minute rejection stat, targeting higher time frame, low volume node, which also aligns with TrueDay, but was swept in London, so had that mind when entering the trade. Do not like Mondays, so was aggressive with my stop loss. It's also a bank holiday, too. Trading towards the end with aggressive sellers around 25, 32, or 327. What initiated the trade was CVD divergence at point of interest, with aggressive sellers being absorbed on Bookmap and buyers entering the market instantly, plus VWAP. Plus $160, 3-hour trade, small win, but it's the first trade in the month on Lucid Flex accounts. Maybe looking at price action now, I should have not been that protective. But yeah, I would have used regular size on this. I'm assuming you used 2 minis here, or 2 micros. So I would have probably used 5 to 10 here, especially when these ranges are tighter from it being a bank holiday. You can use a little bit higher size. I'd probably use 5 micros here. I think 5 micros is appropriate. Reasonable stop. Stop is below VWAP. You get that tap. Good entry on this. Go to exit here, and then you trailed here. You got trailed out. That's okay. This is a good trade though. NQ long from anchored VWAP that ran to TP, done for the day since it's half day. Okay, good job calling it, Clutch. This is pretty much the same trade. Entry's a little bit worse. That's okay. You got more confirmation on that. Good job tightening the stop up, and yeah, good management on this. Good job calling it a day. Clean. Another IB play. January has been my best month so far. Okay, this is a good long. This is a very good long. You got in at a good price. Didn't get stopped out on that. Looking for 365. I'm assuming that's an IB extension. Took an NQ low and saw that we started to accept value inside the value area, and we retested value area low. Failed sellers were too quick with the stop. I did the trade and break even. TP was at VWAP. Stop a bit below value area low to prevent any wicking out, but I thought we can't break through this range. I'm going to de-risk, and that's what I did. If I would have given it more room than it after it hit TP. Okay, so here, yeah, this is why I don't like break-even trades. I mean, like, you could take risk off here. You could definitely take risk off here, but you don't need to necessarily, like, go break-even here. This is why I don't like break-even trades, because it's based off where you enter. It's not based off the market structure. So here, like, if we want to tighten up the risk, like, put it on this wick. Right, at 300, you were worried about getting wicked out. It moves up for what, 4 minutes? Then it does its retest, and then it gives you your distribution leg. So you got stopped out on the retest because of it, which sucks because this is a nice trade. Right, so we can't be scared of retests. Immediately bought back after going below fair value. Tapped a daily POC from a while ago. Accepted above all-time high, value area low, and respected high time frame supply. Support and resistance, grinded on second VWAP band and edged VWAP, retraced the daily POC that's aligning with optional trade entry, COMEX VWAP and standard deviation. VWAP from 6 p.m. open on bookmap. We had aggressive selling on VWAP and CVD divergence, and entry was off us going above power trade, stop at bottom of power trade, and aggressive buying coming in on heat map. Targeting VWAP. Went break even too early, thought we were going to pump. Genuine A plus trade, faded entry early because wanted more confirmation. Since I got late entry, should have done no break even. Okay, so you got break even on this. You're not risking too much on this. You're risking like 20 points here. So I think this is fine. Like, you shouldn't, again, like, this pivot forms. Once this pivot forms, then I'm adjusting my stop up. Also, don't use COMEX VWAP on indexes. COMEX VWAP is specifically for metals. The COMEX VWAP at 820, right? That's for metals because that's when volume starts to come in. You only will anchor at like 830 your VWAP if there's like a CPI or an NFP day where you have volume, you have a heavy volume spike in that pre-market session. So if you're anchoring your VWAP at 820, that is just for metals. Just be aware of that, and that's because of the volume flow. So like if you go and look at, let's look at GC. On a non-bank holiday, mind you. So look where the volume flow comes in. This comes in at 815. So coming into that 820 area, that's when you're getting the volume inflow. Back here, 830 volume inflow. That was a CPI day. So back here, volume inflow at 8, right around 8. So I'll change where I'm anchoring the COMEX VWAP just based on where you start to get those volume spikes. I want to consider like 820 is a good rule of thumb, but you will have volume spikes at like 7:50 or 8 a.m. sometimes. Is COMEX 930 VWAP? Okay, no. That's 930 VWAP is just New York Open. That's just New York VWAP. So if you anchored it off the New York VWAP, then perfectly fine. So the indexes, yeah, you can use that 930 anchored VWAP because that's when the New York Open happens. That's when the volume inflow happens. So like if you go over to NASDAQ, right, you can see the volume gets pick up right at 930, right down here. Same thing back here, you get a big pickup on the volume. That's why you anchor at 930. So yeah, it's just where does that volume start to flow in? That's what I meant. Okay, gotcha. That, yeah, then if this is the New York VWAP, then that's totally appropriate. Plasma, Friday's trade review, I forgot to mention, entered when we saw aggression on order flow through levels, just pushing lower, buyers not factored in, and rode the trend lower. Second trade off VWAP, took the ban for scalp, okay. No trades for me today, one too short against the IB, rejection on NQ at VWAP today, around 10.10, would have been break even, but my account wasn't executing for some reason, so I didn't trade. Would have been break even day regardless, okay. So we're looking at shorting this, is this the right NASDAQ contract? Oh, this was on Friday. Okay, yeah, no, I like this trade. I like this first one. Once you start getting those aggressive sellers coming in, and you're not holding above VWAP, this is a nice short down to IB lows. And then this is after the IB breaks, you come back up, you retest that VWAP, you have sellers coming back in. So this is a clean scalp. So that's a good way to trade the IB on NQ. So that would have been this trade. I like this trade, Plasma. And then here today, we were going to fade the IB rejection stat, which it's a bank holiday. So, yeah. Alp, you're good to post the question, bro. I'm done with trade review. That was the last post. So, pretty quick one. 10 minutes. 10-minute trade review. Just wanted to have your advice. I already got payout and passed multiple fundeds from multiple firms a few months ago. I missed 2 big payouts from Alpha Futures and my fund futures one day from payout, and now I struggle to even pass combines. I blow a ton of evals, and the biggest struggle is psychology. I can tell myself 100 times per day I shouldn't overtrade or risk too much. And at the moment, I always end up blowing the account all in a day without being able to do anything. I'm truly lost. I used to do pretty well, and I don't understand why it happened now, even though I didn't change my strat and even improved it. Okay. That's probably because you missed those big payouts, bro. If you miss those big payouts, it's definitely going to have an effect on your psych, right? You were looking at that. You were looking at that as a lot of money, and it was pretty much guaranteed to you, and then you fucked it up last day. It happens. I see it a lot. I've done it too. So I would say slow it down. If you're trying to trade multiple accounts right now, stop that. Stop that. Give yourself some time in the evals. Say, I'm gonna limit myself to, let's say 1 eval a week, or maybe do 2 evals a week. Don't go over that though. Don't break that rule at all. If you break that rule, then you're trading paper for the rest of the time. So I would slow it down where it's just like, I'm gonna trade 1 eval for a week, or I'm only allowing myself to trade 1 eval a week. Or purchase 1 eval a week, or 2 evals a week, or whatever it is. But have it like be a pretty small number where it's like 1 or 2 evals a week, and you just reduce that. So it's like it forces you to not overtrade and not blow the accounts, because you're following your rules of, hey, I can only purchase 2 evals a week, right? So you get 1 fuck up a week essentially. First time joining one of these calls where I can learn more about the IB. I've got a couple videos on my YouTube. I need to make a better in-depth video on the IB. But if you look at the beginner series call, or the I think it's like teaching my friends how my strategy or whatever, that's a good like hour-long call that goes through some of my strategy. You can use lockout features, you can use the risk features. You need a journal, bro. If you haven't been journaling, you need to do that. What do you think about silver on open? I mean, I'm bullish on metals this week. I'm bullish on metals. This is a clean breakout for silver. I'd like to see this, like, I would have liked to see this a little bit higher. Like, I would have liked to see this push 95s yesterday. But I'm bullish. I'm bullish here as long as we're sustaining above this shorter term value area high, which I need to clean up this chart a little bit because it's getting kind of messy. I'm going to actually make these white lines that I have, I'm going to make these yellow so they stand out. So I know they're not value area highs. I know that they are specific price levels I'm looking at. Give me 2 seconds, guys, while I do this. And then I'll touch on what I'm thinking on silver. Silver, there's been more deliveries going on, more physical deliveries. So on this higher time frame, we're above this value area high, so we're trading outside of value for this larger range. On a shorter time frame, like a weekly, I think I have this profile anchored, last Sunday, where we had that breakout. I actually need to extend this a little bit. Okay, so here we're still trading above this value area high. So I want to see this value area high act as support if we're going to continue higher. So I'd like to see 93.4 act as support going into like tonight. No, the IB, you don't need order flow software for the IB. The IB is just like, it's just a simple 1 hour range. That's typically what an IB is. You could modify them though. Do I think we're going to leave the gap open on metals or on NQ? Metals do like to leave gaps. When they're rallying like this, they will leave, like these gaps won't get filled for weeks. So, I mean, you can see last week we had a gap up on Sunday, didn't fill. This week we have a gap up on Sunday. Probably, I wouldn't assume that gap fills this week. Okay, it definitely could, but I'm assuming it doesn't on these metal products. When you start to have these crazy rallies, those Sunday open gaps don't really fill that often. So where's silver? Silver, let's see this run. Where's the Sunday open? No gap here. No gap here. This is Monday. No gap here. Like when metal products start gapping up though, you know, they like what a gap indicates is there's strong buying pressure, strong selling pressure. Like right at that reopen, your bid and your ask are separated. So, like here, this gapped up, it didn't fill, still hasn't filled. This we gapped up, we didn't fill it for another few weeks. So like when you get these aggressive gaps up, they don't have to fill the first week. They don't have to fill the first day that they're present. Here you get another aggressive gap up. This one hasn't filled. Back at 72s. So this was at the start of the year, 2 weeks ago. Those gap ups, they don't necessarily have to fill the first week. So as long as we can sustain, obviously if we can sustain above this value area high, then I don't think that gap fills. That's kind of my thought. I'll post an update, D. I'll post an update on it. I'll do that right now. Okay, that's Trader View, guys. I'm gonna go type up this update, and I will see you guys who are in premium at 7:30. 7:30, I'll be on stream. Okay. Any questions before I dip? Random question, you see my trades on gold? Are my stops too tight? I feel like if I keep the... Okay, so, yeah, I like to have like a 5-point stop on gold. So, if you want your stop tighter, you need a better entry, or you need to be going for a bigger target. But not necessarily. If you have a high win rate, you don't need to be going for a big target. So, yeah, I mean, if I've got a 5-point stop, I'm typically shooting for 10 to 15 points on gold, which I think is pretty doable on most distribution legs, shorter term distribution legs. Just give it some more room, bro. Just give it some more room. Gold likes to hit the same levels multiple times, or it comes up and it just consolidates, and then it will like wick a little bit past it and then move, or it will just come up to that exact same level and then reverse off of it. So just if you see wicks, put your stop a little bit past the wicks and then just give it some more room, bro. What's my skincare routine? I literally like just wash my face with water, bro. I just have good genes. How do we know where we should anchor the fixed range volume profile? I base it off range highs and lows. So, you know, that depends. Again, like it depends because like where are you specifying the range? If you are newer to using fixed range volume profiles, I would suggest you use a sessions range indicator. So you're just you're anchoring at like 6 p.m. Or you're anchoring like going into close here, like for the overnight at the start of session. Right, where I'm going to take my volume profile from is where you get this spike up of volume in London, or I might take it from this New York session, or I might just anchor it from the previous day. Because if I look at this, right, since it was a bank holiday and we didn't have very much volume on here, then yeah, I'm going to use this as my volume profile going into tonight. But if, let's say this was a full session and there's actually appropriate volume traded in here, then I would use just this New York session range going into the overnight. What's the best entry if I'm trying to take a trade off middle VWAP? Last night, bad bullish tapped VWAP and pumped. Bad bullish tapped VWAP and pumped. Now my days, my spelling is cooked. What do you like entering off of in middle view? Okay, yeah, so I usually have an order flow tool pulled up. So I'm either looking for, it depends on the scenario, but I'm looking for absorption or exhaustion or aggression at that level. So like that VWAP trade I took on Thursday night that I alerted, that was an exhaustion setup. So the previous time we came up to VWAP, up near VWAP, there was exhaustion right there. And we had the entire session, it was aggressive sellers, and then very small buyers picked the market up, and it's exhaustion right at VWAP. Same scenario happens. It's just probably 20 minutes later, where there's still aggressive sellers in the market, very small buyers pick the market up, there's exhaustion right at VWAP, and then aggressive sellers hit the bid again. So it depends on the setup, right? There's multiple different things you could see at that VWAP. There's been setups where it's like we come into VWAP, and we're selling really aggressively, and then a big buyer picks us up, or a big seller comes back into the market. So you're looking for either like a big seller, big buyer, exhaustion, absorption, one of those things, or like a CVD divergence in there. I don't use MACD Go Getter. Maybe you're talking about CVD. Let me scroll up. It will direct that my levels regardless. I know that but the thing I should wait for confirmation to go an entry earlier. I personally, I'm fine with less confirmation. I'm okay with trades with less confirmation. I just give myself a little bit more room for the market to breathe, and then I tighten up as that confirmation forms, or I add into it as the confirmation forms. Feel like I have my targets too high. Could I just take 2R trades like you suggest that? Yeah, you can literally just target 2R. Adrian, like if you have a 50% win rate with 2R, like that's decently profitable. What I realized is we bitch out, oh, I can't control my emotions, oh, I don't know what's wrong. You know exactly what is wrong, it's the same things you were doing, giving you the worst outcome. Yeah. Hey, Jaren. My name's Baron, not Jaren. Wrong server, but could I try to copy your live trades while I try to learn your strategies? I wouldn't suggest it because there's times where I'm not showing all my live trades. Sometimes I'm just doing analysis and trading on the side, and I'm open about that. Like, I don't want people copying my trades really. I don't want to be a signal bot, so I think it's more so like if you pop in the lives and you're trying to listen and learn about how I'm like analyzing the market and like what I'm looking at for in a trade, that's a better way to learn. Because there's streams where I will show live executions and there's streams where I won't. And that's just how I am. Right. Can someone help me pass a combine and I pay you for it? That's how you get banned. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna hop off. MACD. I believe MACD is... I forget what it is with the EMAs. I never learned MACD. Alright. Yeah, I'll be on around 7:30 for premium. It was a joke. It's hard to tell through text, bro. Moving average convergence, divergence. Gotcha. Alright. I'll see you guys.